It's time to continue the Arizona Coyotes player reviews as we go through the off-season on Locked On Coyotes.
Your Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Locked On Coyotes, your number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I'm your host, Robyn and Carl Pavlik right beside me. We have a special guest. We're going to introduce her in just a moment. But first, I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. We will never have a paywall, so you will never ever have to pay to listen to our show. But let's get into it. First, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, a Arizona Coyotes fan from the state of New Jersey. Interesting. Cameron, how you doing?
Great. Besides being sick, but that's two different things.
Well, thanks for coming on this show. We really appreciate it. I think we're hoping to interact with more fans out there because there are some awesome Coyotes fans out there, and you're probably one of the more entertaining Twitter fans out there for covering, loving the Coyotes out there.
Entertaining is a broad term.
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might have to leave it at that one.
I mean, entertaining in Twitter is probably the best I think anyone can hope for. Just being entertaining is, I think, something that I'm barely able to do on Twitter. So I am always very impressed with you on it.
I mean, I try. I'm the most boring person in person. So it's like, how do I make myself seem sort of fun? And Twitter's like my way. So.
Nice.
That's all. I mean, that's right. Everyone has an outlet. Ourselves, we got this podcast. I get all my energy out here, and outside, I'm just sometimes dead. So it's okay. We all get through that. Yeah. We got a special episode today because we're going back to player reviews. We had two so far. We talked about Anton Strawman at the end of last week, and we talked about Phil Kessel before the draft lottery. And now it's time to get to our third key player, someone that is, let's just say, and undoubtedly the Arizona Coyotes MVP of the last season, Clayton Keller. There's a reason we also have you on this show. We know.
Yeah.
We know how this goes.
Yeah.
Do I even have to say it? Is there any introduction for that? I think everyone knows. I think it's just self-explanatory.
Yes.
Yeah, probably at this point, yeah. I mean, considering just all of the years I've been watching this team, it is great to see Clayton Keller get the appreciation that I think he has, been kind of lacking these past couple of years. He has not been the most appreciated in the first year of his contract, and this year he stepped up in ways that were just phenomenal, and he has become a very well-loved player in a very difficult year for him, in a very key point of this franchise history. So everything's kind of coming up Clayton. So until his season ended,
we're not going to talk about that. I wasn't home, and then I went to bed. That's a whole different story. I'm not going to get into it.
Oh, I was at the game. Seated in the lower bowl.
Do you want the story of what happened then? If I can shorten it. I can condense it.
Sure. Let's go for it.
I was at a concert the night of, and I got home in time for the third period. Actually, I got pulled over, and then I got home in time for the third period. But still, so I get home. I'm like, oh, I could watch it, but I'm not going to. So I go to bed because I had class in the morning. I'm thinking nothing of it. I wake up in the morning. My entire Twitter's broken. My phone's broken. I'm like, what is happening? What happened last night? Why is nothing loading? And my entire Twitter was like, don't look. Are you good? And I was just like, I don't know what happened. So that was a day.
That is just one of those things where if you didn't see it, like I'm sure it just had to completely blow up your phone. I'm surprised it didn't wake you up. Like I would be the person who's like, why am I getting 75 messages at 3 a.m? Let me just check my phone, and then I would be awake for the rest of the day. But that's
So
just me.
that's what happened though. I put my phone on do not disturb because I put my phone on do not disturb for everything. So I was like, whatever. And I just went to bed. I woke up at like 3 a.m. and I kind of saw the notifications, but I was like, oh, he probably scored. And that happens because that's what happens when he scores or does something stupid. So I'm like, all right. I wake up in the morning. It's like 6 a.m. and I realized what it was. And I was like, I'm not sure what to do. Like, do I just sit here and cry? So I sat there for the first 15 minutes of my morning and bawled my eyes out, and everyone told me I was overreacting.
I mean,
It's
that's an injury like that. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, like, if you, when you're a fan, like it hurts. I've dealt with seeing players go down, and it hurts. It really does.
it's when you are a fan of something, you develop a emotional attachment to it, and it
Unfortunately.
sucks seeing anyone get injured, but seeing your favorite player, I think a lot of Coyotes fans collectively were just like, oh, well, this sucks. This absolutely sucks. And boy, did it absolutely suck, because the Coyotes were not a great team without Clayton Keller. He definitely left a big hole. And I think that's kind of like speaks a lot to him this season, like the fact that he did leave that kind of impact. I think if there was a criticism for Keller the past couple of years, it's he didn't always, have that consistent impact. He had that this year.
There was a reason for that. There's a reason for that. I'm not going to get into it. I can't. But all I'm going to say is the coaching staff did not do him any favors until now. So
yeah, he does definitely seem to be faring a little bit better under Bill Armstrong. I think he is, developed into a more responsible player on his own. I want to give him a lot of credit for just putting in and having a great offseason this past year. But yeah, like I do think that he is definitely getting, a lot of trust. There's a reason that Schmaltz and Keller were the short leash line, and under, Bear, they're just, the top line and occasional penalty killers. That is a completely different, role for Keller. That is a different level of trust that he just hasn't had.
true. Those 7 pounds in the offseason really did so much damage for him, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I was going through a conversation I had with some people talking about physical players and stuff like that, those who are willing to get in front of the net, and someone's like mentioned with especially we were talking about the draft, it's like, oh yeah, no, Clayton Keller was one of your great picks. You did something really solid on that one. I'm like, yeah, but obviously it took him until this year to do it, and again, I'm not gonna go into the whole different coaching system because I mean that's a whole episode right there. But difference on coaching between the Tonka system and the Tournay and Bill Armstrong system. We could go for hours on that.
Yeah.
I mean, write an entire essay of an argument on why I hate Rick Tocchet. So
let's be fair. Keller did have that, phenomenal rookie season, 23 goals, 42 assists, still his, career high in assists, unfortunately, and points, 65. He looked like he was ready to hit, 30 goals, probably would have hit 70 points if, he hadn't, injured it or gotten injured. So like that is definitely a big jump. And it is kind of interesting to see, like, he did great his rookie year, but he never really could find that footing until this past year. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of factors, but definitely I think the weight gain is a big one. I think the coaching is a big one. I think just being in hockey for, all of these years now is just working much better for him.
I can't argue that. I mean, he had if you go look at his numbers for Boston when he played with BU, like that was insane. And he was a freshman and didn't even finish his full freshman year there, and got called up to the Coyotes in like late March. I want to say it was March 31st. Don't fact check that because now I'm gonna look wrong if I don't know. I want to say it was like late March that he got called up.
So first game
Have it
against
confirmed.
St. Louis, March 27th. So
I was
really
gonna
close.
say it's in the March area somewhere. March 31st is like the first. I don't think there is a March 31st now that I think about it. Is that a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, good. Then I just look stupid. That's two completely different things.
Anyways, though, we still got a lot to get to talk about this conversation. We are reviewing Clayton Keller's season. We're still going to talk some of his highlights, but we also want to talk about what we wanted to see more of. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you guys about our next our next sponsor, Athletic Greens. I run a busy schedule, which means sometimes I admittedly don't have all the time to get all the daily nutrition and vitamins I need for the day. That's why I'm glad I'm able to turn to AG1 from Athletic Greens. It's your one-stop shop, so to speak, of more than 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, adaptogens, and all that good stuff to help you start your day right. Just one scoop of this special blend, and you are on your way to improve and support your gut health, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, and aging. It's lifestyle friendly, whether you are keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, and all the best of it. It just costs less than $3 a day. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health, to pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. So let's continue this episode of Locked On Coyotes as we discuss Clayton Keller. We got our favorite fan, Cameron, here on this episode to discuss Clayton Keller. Let's go through a couple more highlights. Because, again, Carl, you mentioned it, 63 points for this guy in 67 games, all coming up before his injury. Just 2 points shy of his highest of this, and that was his rookie year. And this is on the second year of his mega deal that he got.
yes.
And I mean, I don't know, like, did he make up for? Did he say that he deserves that contract?
I mean, I would definitely say so. For any kind of 8-year deal, which he has, I believe 8 years, right? Yes.
8 years, 7.56 mil, something like that, right?
I have it's 8-year, 57.2 million.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like 7.5.
Yeah,
7.15.
Yeah, 7.15.
Is it 1.5? Whatever,
Yeah,
same
yeah.
thing, close enough. A few million off.
I do think like you can't really know for sure if someone deserves that kind of deal until it's finished. It's one of those things where you look at in retrospective and you're like, yeah, that was a good deal, or that deal started off good and got really bad at the end, or it started off good and it only got better. I definitely think he put away a lot of fears about that deal, because anytime people talked about Clayton Keller last season or the season prior, it seemed to be, sure, he's good, but is he worth his contract? Is he overpaid? And that definitely has changed.
I
Yeah,
don't know
all
if I
right.
should be allowed to weigh my opinion on that. I think he's great no matter what. So I can't say much.
You can absolutely say much, because there are people who think he is bad no matter what. And trust me, they say it a lot. And you're just
I
like,
fought a lot of people. I did fight a lot of people on Twitter. I want to say there was a lot of Blues fans I fought last year. That was a different story, but I like completely got into fights
Oh, I know.
after the 0.7 second goal against the Blues last year, I got into a long fight with the Blues fan, and they were not happy with me, and I was not happy with them. So
It's funny because we've had Locked On Blues on a crossover a couple times over the
now I
last
feel
year.
bad. This is
And
probably so bad. I probably just like
they-
completely ruined it.
They hate, but they love Clayton Keller because they're just like
Yeah.
they're jealous that we have him and the fact that he plays his
He's
best
from
games against St. Louis.
Because he's from there. He's from
Yeah,
St. Louis.
exactly.
Well, technically, he's not from St. Louis. I don't know who he lied to. He's from Swansea, Illinois, and he grew up on that side of the river. And so he's technically from Illinois. But he told everyone he's from St. Louis and played for the St. Louis child leagues or whatever. So I think he lied, but okay.
It's close enough. I mean, I tell people I'm from Buffalo when really I'm from Jamestown because no one knows where Jamestown is. And occasionally people know where Buffalo is.
That's why I just say I'm from New Jersey. And then if people want the specifics, I'm just like, it doesn't work. But it just doesn't work.
I can't say I'm from New York because that is a very different
you're
thing.
from the city. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're from New York State. Like that's too. But I feel like I don't know, because if you say you're from New York, everyone assumes the city.
Yeah.
I surprisingly still get people confused on where I'm from. Like I told them I'm from San Jose, and I am, and they're like, "Where's that?" I'm like, "Really?
California.
Really?"
Yeah. You could just say NorCal. That's fine.
I just started saying Bay Area.
Nah, that works too.
That works too.
But anyways, Clayton Keller. We were supposed to be talking about things that he needs to do better this segment.
Yes, let's get to that. Things we wish we saw more of.
I don't want to start.
Carl.
I mean, I could, but I don't want to.
So I liked what we saw with him on the penalty kill. I like the idea of Clayton Keller penalty killer, even though that is very difficult to say. I do think the penalty kill was one of the worst aspects of the team, though. I'm not blaming him for it, but I think everyone on that needs to be better at that. And especially, it's his first time playing that key role. I'm gonna, be lenient next season. Maybe a little bit of a harsher critic for that.
And I know that Clayton Keller, I think a lot of us kind of understand the role he's taking now, and yeah, I'm with you on that. I think he's just going to keep growing in that. I think I want to see him continue that, right? Continue growing, continue bettering the penalty kills, continue bettering any kind of special teams for that matter. Because let's be real, special teams as a whole was absolute crap.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a personal thing, so I'll say that I think he needs to be a little more physical when he plays. Obviously, he's not the tallest guy and he's not the biggest guy, so it's kind of hard for him to be like some guy like Boston Krause, where Krause is gonna lay the body on the guy. That's just how he is because he's tall and he's a big guy.
Absolutely.
Keller doesn't have that as much, but I'd like to see him try. I think he has it in him. The other thing is I would like to see him kind of take more of a leadership role, because that's why everyone sees Chychrun as captain more than they would see Keller as captain. And obviously there's the trade rumor with Chychrun going around. So I would like, if the team's going to build around Clayton Keller, I'd like him to actually own up to the leadership role a little bit more.
Yeah. And I do think we saw part of that. He was wearing the A quite a bit, especially at the end. So he is taking those first few steps, but as a player, we only expect better things from Clayton Keller. I don't think any of us think that he is at the ceiling. So yeah, I definitely think there are areas where he can make himself a better, bigger piece for the Coyotes.
Absolutely. We still got more to get to, though, on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. We are discussing Clayton Keller. We are going to give him a player grade and discuss a little bit of his future with the Coyotes and the National Hockey League in just a moment. But first, Carl has a couple words he'd like to share.
So I have a message from our partners at BetOnline. They continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. You can find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even the next season NLF futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. If you're someone who's watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, head over to BetOnline. They were the website that we always use when talking about odds. Definitely a place I would recommend going if you want more information. You can head over to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts.
So now it's time for my favorite segment on our player reviews. We've only done 2, but it's already become my favorite segment, assigning a letter grade to these players, as well as talking about their future. Carl, do you want to start off with the letter grade?
Sure. I would give Clayton Keller an A+. He is the MVP for the team. I think he may get the only A+ that I give out. Not sure about that yet. I haven't thought too much about it, but yeah, A+.
I am 100% with you. A+ for Clayton Keller. And again, MVP status, he was the best player on the Coyotes by far. He proved it. He had, again, 28 goals, 35 assists. He really proved himself. He's proved his worth, and has become a cornerstone of this franchise. I'm going to get to a lot of that more in a little bit, but he's become a cornerstone, and I think we're going to see a lot of him in the future.
Yeah.
See, I have to agree with you guys. I was gonna actually rate him lower, but then you guys said A+, so I have to agree. So
that would be funny though if you came on the Clayton Keller episode and you're like, actually, B-.
I was gonna say A, so I wasn't really that far off. It's a minor thing. If he didn't get hurt, I feel like that would have been the cherry on top, but I can't say that. I'll go with A+. I'm agreeing.
Yeah, I try to take the injury away because that's obviously was out of his control. And obviously we're playing with what ifs here, because if he wasn't injured, at what would his total goal total will be? Like it could have been a 40 goal season. But we don't know.
I mean, if we're playing that if game, what if he didn't play a majority of his time with Travis Boyd as his center? I feel like he probably...
You're gonna tell me you were gonna put Barrett Hayton on that line. I love Barrett Hayton. Don't take me the wrong way on this one. You're gonna tell me you were gonna put Barrett Hayton, who looks too much like Clayton Keller, by the way, on the same line as him and Nick Schmaltz. I think I preferred Boyd in that area, and I know it's wrong, and I know Travis Boyd should not be playing top line center, but I think I liked him on that line because it gave Barrett Hayton the time to play with a bunch of other guys and kind of build chemistry with the guys that are probably going to stick around a little longer. And then there's Travis Boyd. I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation, but I don't know. Who else would you put on that line to center that line, you know?
I mean, in reality, in the real world that we are talking about with the Coyotes as a team, Boyd is probably the best chance. But if the Coyotes were not in a massive rebuild, if they had an actual first line center, I do think Keller probably would have had more assists. He would have probably easily gotten his assist career high, just because it was that kind of season. The fact that Boyd had 15 goals, I think, by the end.
Well, Keller's also a pass first guy, so
yeah.
Everyone's no, he's not, but he is. So,
which did make the 28 goals very surprising. I did not really expect that to be a significant part of Keller's game. I thought he would be more along the lines of Phil Kessel, 44 assists, 8 goals, but now he's just kind of an all-around player. And Travis Boyd, 17 goals to finish off the season. I have to say, a majority of those have to be Keller's. I don't. Yeah, well, I haven't looked it up.
A good portion of Boyd's goal, not a good portion, but there was a solid amount of those goals that were also towards the end of the year after Clayton Keller got injured. Mm-hmm. due to the whole, what the frig were they doing? Are you not tanking kind of thing? But
yeah,
I
Boyd
don't know what was
did
going on
keep
with
things
that.
going.
That made me nervous. That made me so nervous. Those were like the last 3 games were the only 3 games I ended up watching after Clayton got hurt. And everyone was like, "You're a traitor." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I just can't watch the team without Clayton. It sucks."
I mean,
It
you
was
didn't miss much. That was a miserable
Yeah.
time.
Exactly. I'd rather not be miserable and continue on with my life than have to sit through hours of hockey at like 10 o'clock at night for me. It just made sense.
Oh, it's fine. Like people will like be talking to me and they're like, "How do you watch the Coyotes have such a bad season, like day in and day out?" And I just get to respond, "They pay me." So I don't know why anyone else does it.
They don't pay me, but I do too much for that stupid team anyways. I should be paid. At this point, they should start paying me. I should not be talking about this on a podcast, but they should.
We'll make some calls.
Yeah. All right.
No, you guys don't have to. I did enough.
I mean, no,
We don't have the power to.
we don't
so-
have that power.
Yeah.
We're just having fun.
Good.
But let's talk about this kid's future though, because I mentioned it, on my grade. I see this kid as a cornerstone of this franchise coming up for the future. The rebuild, obviously, he was a huge part of it. He's been a huge part of this first year. And I think he is going to be that, that key piece moving forward throughout these years. And maybe not in the next couple of years because they're still going to have to, go through the building process. But, if he really continues to prove himself the way he does, I do see this guy as the future captain of the Arizona Coyotes.
I was going to say that. That was going to be my point. I don't know what else to say. That was like kind of my thing. I mean, I have to agree with like Genther coming up and Doan coming up, which they're not going to be up for the next like 2 years.
Right.
If Keller continues to play the way he's playing, this is kind of a direct quote of what you just said. He's probably going to be the next captain, especially if Chychrun gets traded. And again, I love Jacob Chychrun. I think he's a great guy, and I think he's a great player and would be a great captain. But I could just see if the rumor is that Chychrun's going by the next deadline, then there's no reason why Keller shouldn't be named captain. And again, love Lawson Krause, but it just makes more sense for it to be Keller.
I do think the team is going to go another year without a captain because I think there's no need to rush. But I think it is going to be a situation where there are more clearly defined, leader players. I cannot imagine Keller playing a single game next year without an A on his chest if there's no C. So I think that's big. Let's be real, and I am a pessimist. He is coming off a leg injury. He should hopefully be fine, but we have unfortunately seen players, miss a step after an injury. I don't think that's going to be the case right now, and I think it's still way too early to say, but it is something where if Keller comes back and he is the same player, he is only going to continue to improve. But
didn't he say like 2 weeks ago that he'll start skating in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
He did, yeah.
I am so mad about that. I am very upset about that.
I mean, there's no contact involved. At least let it,
Yeah.
maybe if he's just taking it easy. We don't know the parameters of what skating means for him.
I know,
Yeah.
but when I saw that, I was doing something that day, and when I saw that, I was like, he's joking, right? Like, he wrote the joke himself. Like, this is not funny.
What was it? Was that on the last home game?
I think so. He was wearing a
Yeah.
very fancy hoodie. And
he was,
Oh my god, the bandana hoodie.
yes.
The black
he was-
bandana hoodie. 1 second.
And he was interviewing with Biz, I think, right?
That picture is my phone wallpaper.
that hoodie exactly. Yeah. I think he was with Biz and
Todd Walsh.
Matt McConnell or Todd Walsh.
No,
Yeah.
it was Biz,
Yeah.
It was Biz and Todd Walsh, yes.
Yeah.
Only I
So-
would know that for sure.
I always forget who does the interviews. It makes me feel bad, but yeah, no. I think he will hopefully be able to kind of just come back, and I kind of want him to just focus on hockey and his recovery. That's why I don't want him to be wearing a C next season.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be next season. I think because again, they're in that rebuilding year. There's like there is no rush on that. Even on like teams that the expansion teams, they never named a captain right away, and they were kind of just even though like they were some of like Vegas, for example, was good right out the gates. They didn't even have a captain for 3 years. Like
the Rangers, not that this matters, but the Rangers have been without a captain since they traded Ryan McDonough. I only know this because I live in a Rangers house, but like they have not named a captain since they traded away Ryan McDonough to Tampa. And I want to say like they have like 6 alternate captains or something like that right now.
we're
And
seeing
it's
a lot
ridiculous.
more of that. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more cases about that, and maybe the Coyotes will do something like that for 2-3 years. But like, if Keller continues that trajectory, like it will be hard to not make a case against him. Like writing will be on the wall at that point.
Especially because I think Coyotes fans expect a Coyotes captain to be a long-term like part of the team, to be a thing that's more than the Rangers expect their captain.
Well, yeah,
to be.
because they were so freaking used to Shane Doan for how many years?
Yeah,
Shane Doan, then OEL. How long was OEL captain? Like for off of my, I want to say it was pretty long, right? Like I know that he was captain, but
1 year fewer than Tocchet was head coach, because first year it was the same kind of all A situation.
So that would be like what, 5 years?
Was it 4?
4 or 5?
I think
something
4.
like that.
Yeah, I would need to double check, but definitely like he was with the team for a long time. Like I don't think like the Coyotes fans are going to accept a captain who just was like acquired via trade. They need to have been, like drafted and like submerged in a like clay basin for a week in the desert and just all kinds of other things.
So Clayton Keller.
Yeah. So Clayton Keller,
Pretty much.
He lives in Austin Matthews' house. I mean, it has to just make sense.
Oh, I love that.
That
is one of those.
thing too. The relationship between Clayton Keller and Austin Matthews has gotten me too many connections within that family. That's all I'm gonna say.
So Austin Matthews, come home.
Yeah,
Pretty much. That's all I can say about that.
That's another whole topic that you can have like a whole episode on, because a lot of people here in Arizona love Austin Matthews. I mean, he was built here, so.
Well, he comes home. He comes home for summer, doesn't he? Like he flies back out.
Yeah, he does. I think there are like some summers when like you'll have some like Mitch Marner come by with them, and they'll ride those like bird scooters around Scottsdale. It's like
those things are the best.
And I don't get to see it because I live about 100 miles away from there. But
it's fine. We don't have the scooters in Phoenix either, or my part of Phoenix. So
I mean, we have scooters. We have scooters in Tucson, but
I miss like the scooters. I miss the rent-a-bikes. Like when I lived in Tempe, everything was like a lot more, transport friendly for pedestrians. My current neighborhood, not so much.
Yeah, it'd be like that. But anyways, we are running out of time on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. So first, we're gonna thank Cam for coming on. We really appreciate you being awesome and coming on this show and talking Clayton Keller.
Not a problem. I'm always down to talk about Clayton all the time, any time of the day. You ask, I am 100% okay.
Well, we'll hold that to you.
Yeah,
it's true.
I mean, again,
3 a.m. You get a call. You're just like, we have a Clayton Keller emergency podcast.
I can do it at 3 a.m. I mean, I might not be awake. I'll be like half awake, but still, I can do it.
Your phone will be on Do Not Disturb, so that'll be the problem.
No, I will make sure my phone's not on Do Not Disturb that night on purpose. I won't see it coming, but I'll just stop putting my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Or just have at least the podcast DM, like no matter what, breaks blue, Do Not Disturb at any time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We'll set up an emergency signal somehow.
It's just do not disturb, and then it's like you could do that on an iPhone where you could like edit. I don't know how to explain it. You could edit like what you want your like do not disturbs to be. So you could do full do not disturb, or you could have like specific notifications come through. I could do that and put everything else on do not disturb but Twitter, or I can't do but Twitter, but like your guys' podcast, and just have that happen. Sick.
I mean, even with the time difference, if there's an emergency thing at either midnight or 1 a.m., I'm probably not going to be able to talk about it. So,
I mean, it's almost midnight for me right now. So,
Well, we should get ready to end things up then, because we're running out of time on this episode. We are technically a little bit over time. But once again, thanks for coming on, and thanks to everyone for listening to this episode of Locked On Coyotes. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you have yet to already. We are available everywhere you get your podcast, including on YouTube. Don't forget to interact with us on social media. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, on Instagram at LockedOnCoyotes, and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I am personally at Robyn_Leano. That is Robyn with a Y _LEANO. Carl Pavlak is Carl Pavlak FFH. Cam, would you like to share with our listeners where they can follow you?
my Twitter is at Looking Tragic. It's just like LOOKING. It's a song by AFI. That's mainly it. I'm not really exciting anywhere else. So.
Well, that's where you can follow Cam. But anyways, once again, thanks to everyone for listening to this episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy. And don't forget to howl.
Oh, I had to do that? Damn.